Welcome to the Nic Nice Show. Yes, we have a great episode lined up today. I'm so excited you chose to join us for yet another episode. Aside from having one of my faves, that's right, I said faves, okay, I mean favorite people in the world, Lakia Brandenburg, she's such a sweetheart. She's joining us today to talk about her new book, The Tiara. And we got the nicest 3 music videos in the game. And you know what? I got to tell you, these nice 3 music videos might be one of the best nice 3, so stay tuned for that. And then, of course, we end the show with Said Nicely. But first, we start with the nice list.
The first moment Michael Brown's parents faced the public to talk about their son, they wanted to make one point about him very clear.
I don't want no violence. We don't want no violence.
Because Michael wouldn't want no violence.
Last week, the country's attention was fixed on Ferguson, Missouri, when unarmed teenager Michael Brown was killed in the street, which set off a neighborhood already frustrated with police interaction in that community. Their narrative is all too familiar, as you have a predominantly black community with a predominantly white police force. And when the clash of the two continued with the death of Michael Brown, the city literally went up ablaze. What I want to focus on is, what do we do now? Clearly, rioting in our own communities isn't the answer, but we can understand the frustration. My problem with situations like these is that the efforts are focused on what we do after the fact, rather than being prepared and engaged beforehand. Situations like these aren't new, and if you're like me, your timeline is flooded with other situations of police brutality and violence. So at this point, you think we'd have a plan, but instead we don't. And until we do, things like these will continue to happen. People need to know that there will be consequences, and you can only establish those consequences by gaining enough power, a voice, and you do that by organizing and getting involved. If you're outraged by what happened to Michael Brown and countless others that have been the victims of police violence, then do something about it in your own community. Posting on Facebook about how outraged or disgusted you are, or taking pictures with your hands up, clearly isn't doing enough.
With Robin Williams, the way he died, this apparent suicide, had everybody talking about, why didn't a lot of people see these signs?
Another death that hit folks hard this week was the news that beloved comedian Robin Williams passed away. What was very surprising to many was the manner in which Robin Williams died. By now, I'm sure most of you have heard that he committed suicide after suffering from depression and dealing with addiction. Now, I must say, I'm starting to notice something when it comes to these great comedians, right? I mean, Kevin Hart had a movie called Laugh at My Pain, and that's actually what we do. The greatest comedians are open and unafraid to bare their souls to us in order to bring joy into our lives through laughter. You name them, and it seems like the list of comedy greats have been filled with folks who've had genuine pain. Pain that often led to addiction and depression, and even worse, their deaths. I mention this because too often when thinking about depression or suicide, people think that person is usually sad or withdrawn, that you can just tell by looking at them. But let this unfortunate situation teach us all that even though someone may seem upbeat and happy, it may still be a front, and we should also look out for the tears of a clown. Because while we're focused on the joy they may bring us, they may be hurting too.
Well, witnesses say Stewart spun out fellow driver Kevin Ward. Kevin then got out of the car to kind of voice his displeasure, and he was hit by Tony Stewart's car, sliding him down the track.
In yet another story about someone dying, I guess death really does come in threes. Tony Stewart killed Kevin Ward Jr. in a race at Canandaigua Motorsports Park after Mr. Ward exited his car during the race and Tony Stewart hit him. Apparently, Mr. Ward was upset about Tony Stewart basically putting him into the wall during the race, and that's when he got out of his car. Now, I don't know what Tony Stewart's state of mind was, so I'm not going to go into that. I will say it's definitely a tragedy when someone so young loses their life. Later in the week, NASCAR would announce a new rule forbidding drivers from leaving their cars in such a situation. Wait, they actually just made a rule for that? I mean, do you see how fast those cars are going? I wouldn't want to be on that track even if I was in the car in a great day, let alone on foot at night. Anyway, it sucks that it takes losing a life before certain things can change. Maybe all the sports that we love can look at rule changes that they can make now instead of waiting until something really bad happens.
Everything seemed to be going well because in October, Future proposed with a 15-carat diamond ring. But now, just 3 months after welcoming their first child together, Ciara is apparently calling it quits on the relationship.
First, Beyonce and Jay divorce rumors, and now this. I cannot believe that America's favorite power couple has officially broken up. No, not Beyonce, but Ciara and Future are no more. Guess it looks like they no longer have a future together. Come to find out, Future was sleeping with CeCe and other women at the same damn time. When she confronted him about it, he said yes. That's when she got mad, and he replied, "I'm just being honest." Right? We did have a song out that we featured here on the Nice Street called I Won. Now I'm wondering if he feels like he lost. Now I will say this, maybe it's me, but to expect Future or any rapper out there to be faithful seems like a stretch. I would imagine that every night on tour would be like a body party. Plus, when you're like pregnant, isn't it like 2 company and 3's a crowd? In other words, he probably wasn't getting none. Anyways, all I'm saying is I understand that Cece had to 1-2 step herself out of the situation, but she should have known that Buddy was probably still getting his goodies on the side. Anyways, don't go anywhere. We still have our interview with Lakia Brandenburg coming up next on the Nic Nice Show. We'll be right back after this.
The Nic Nice Show, sponsored by Audi of America. Truth in engineering.
Want to see your future?
You're me, right? I obviously haven't slowed down at all. What do you think?
The key is to stay hungry.
By the way, our wife's in there. Seriously?
The Audi A8. Ambition never rests.
It's your girl Koereyelle, and we are here at the Biltmore Georgian Ballroom for the Ladies Who Brunch Atlanta Royalty Seminar, which brings together like-minded women to learn success secrets from a panel of powerful women. The event opened up with a question and answer session with a powerful panel of female entrepreneurs, including Candy Burris, who shared secrets to her success and managing businesses in multiple industries, along with Cynthia Bailey, Emily B., Nicole Vichy, as well as Latasha Wright, all of which shared important secrets on how they have sustained their success in their various industries. This is your girl Koereyelle, and I am here at Ladies Who Brunch ATL for the Nic Nice Show. Thanks for tuning in.
The Nice 3, number 3.
Because you know I'm all about that bass, no trouble. I'm all about that bass, no trouble. I'm all about that bass, no trouble. I'm all about that bass, bass. Yeah, it's pretty clear, I ain't no size 2, but I can shake it like I'm supposed to do. Cause I got that boom boom that all the boys chase, and all the right junk in all the right places. I see the magazines working out Photoshop. We know that shit ain't real, come on now make it stop. If you got beauty, just raise them up. Cause every inch of you is perfect from the bottom to the top. Yeah, my mama, she told me don't worry about your size. She says boys like a little more booty to hold a knife. And no, I won't be no stick figure silicone Barbie doll. So if that's what you're into, then go ahead and move along.
Welcome back to the Nic Nice Show. We have an amazing guest with us today. She's a wife, a mother, a 2-time author of books like Picture Perfect and Tiara. With us today, we have Lakia Brandenburg. Welcome to the Nic Nice Show. How are you?
My mic sound nice. Check 1. You know I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
It's my pleasure. We have so much to cover, but first, can you tell us about you, where you're from, and how you grew up?
Well, you know what, Nick? I'm from the DMV area, the northeast side of D.C., which is Hyattsville, Maryland. Born and raised. I am the youngest of 3. Came from your traditional dysfunctional family. I mean, we weren't the Cosbys, but, you know, there was a lot of love in the house from what I remember. And it was just good. I had some good childhood memories and then some not so good childhood memories.
When did you start writing, and at what point did you decide, you know what, this is what I want to do for a career?
You know what? I started actually writing in school, of course, where everyone starts. For me, writing was always that, I guess, better subject or my outlet. And I started journaling. So I transitioned from the school to actually journaling my life. And when I became an adult, that was my way of expressing the things that were happening. I was capturing all of these different moments and events in my life and realized that I actually had a story to tell. Never thought that I would actually write my first book, Nick, but it actually helped me to prepare for those events that were going to be included in the content that was going to be inside of the book. So my first book actually was birthed out of my journaling.
So your first book was Picture Perfect. For those that don't know, can you tell us what Picture Perfect was about?
Absolutely. Picture Perfect is my love story. It was my imperfect love story. Now, I don't know about you, Nick, but when I was growing up, marriage was everything but picture perfect. And what I tell you in this story was how my husband and I had to redefine our perceptions of marriage. What did marriage mean to us? What did marriage look like to us? Because when we got together, we realized that we had some flaws. We had some misconceptions about marriage just based on our experiences, based on our personal examples that were presented before us. For me, it was my parents who had a very dysfunctional, abusive marriage. For Derek, people never got married because marriage just messed up everything. So in Picture Perfect, I show you how you too can create a picture perfect marriage that's based on imperfections, of course, but you can also have that happily ever after that you want, that you desire. You can learn how to embrace imperfections and to understand the foundation of marriage, understand how you're going to play your role in your marriage, what your husband's going to do in your marriage in order to create your picture perfect marriage. So I like to always say, Nick, your story can be picture perfect too.
You then came back with the Tiara as a follow-up. What inspired you to write that book?
Okay, so now that I'm married, right? Now that I've said I do, then what do? The Tiara is the follow-up to Picture Perfect because I wanted to show women how I'm growing, how I'm progressing in this role as a wife. You know, now that I've said I do, okay, now let's really find out what's going on in that castle. So I wanted the Tiara to show women, you know what, this is what you're going to do in your role. This is how you reign as queen of your castle. This is how you engage with your husband. You communicate with your husband. You strengthen the intimacy with your husband. This is what you do in order to reign in your castle. So I feel like the Tiara shows not just growth, but it's maturity because marriage has matured me. Honestly, as a woman, I understand how to truly connect with my husband, how communication is key in all aspects of your relationship. But again, I'm showing you how I'm doing it in a very modern way to some old principles because I really don't believe anything you've read and that you will read in the Tiara is new. There's nothing new. It's just a modern day twist to it.
And let's talk about the book, right? The Tiara is actually an acronym, so let's start with T. What does it stand for, and can you break that down for us?
All right, ladies, T stands for Tame Your Tongue. Life and death are in the power of the tongue, Proverbs 16:24. And so I feel that communication, like anyone, Nick, I believe you agree with me, communication is everything. And so if I don't know how to communicate with my man, we're already, it's no reason to go into the other principles because we're already at a blockage. We're already at a standstill. When you think about taming your tongue, it has nothing to do with you being quiet. It has nothing to do with you lessening yourself. It's about knowing how to speak to him. It's about speaking with a disciplined tongue. Look up the word tame. It doesn't mean put a muzzle over your mouth. It means to truly think before you speak. And our words can carry life or death. So why on earth would you want to speak death to your marriage? Why would you want to speak death to your husband and then expect him to turn around and love you? So T is tame your tongue.
Already, I can tell some people may have a problem with that, and we'll get to that in a little bit, but I understand that I stands for interpret his definition of love. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Absolutely. Interpret. Translate. What does love look like to your man? See, for me, I always wanted to love Derek the way I wanted to love him. Never really considered, what he needed. I know what you need. That's how I felt. But I had to truly define what love means. If love is patient and love is kind, then now I have to become love. So I replaced that word love with my name. Lakia is patient. Lakia is kind. But now I got to show love. So how do you show love? And that's where the love languages come in. Dr. Gary Chapman has written a phenomenal book called The 5 Love Languages. And it teaches us how to communicate with each other, how to speak love languages that we never even considered may be the way our husband or our spouse receives it. So for me, I had to learn to physically touch my husband because that's how he felt loved. I had to learn how to affirm him. That's how he felt loved. So again, interpret, translate his language, understand what he needs, and then girls speak it fluently.
Now, I want to talk to you about the remaining letters and some broader topics. When we come back, can you hang around for a little bit?
Absolutely, of course.
All right, fantastic. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Lakia Brandenburg after this.
The Nic Nice Show, sponsored by Audi of America. Truth in engineering.
Lost the senator. We gotta move. Let's go. Roll out, roll out.
A natural-born leader, the Audi A6, named to car and drivers 10 best.
Where are they?
The Nice Three, number 2.
Shock it, shake it, baby. Electric lady, you're a star. You got a classic kind of crazy, but you know just who you are. Oh, you got the look the gods agree they wanna see. All the birds and the bees dancing with the freaks in the trees. Watch the water turn to wine at space and at your mind. Ooh, shock me one good time. Electric lady, get away now. 'Cause tonight we gon' do what we want to. Lady, get away down. 'Cause tonight we gon' do.
We're back and we have two-time author and all-around amazing person, Lakia Brandenburg, with us. So we started talking about the Tiara acronyms right before the break, and I think we ended with I. So what does the first A stand for?
Wow. This is one of my favorite affirmations, actually. It means to affirm him with sweet words. This is one of my favorite principles of the Tiara, because when I look at affirmations, I think of now that you've tamed your tongue, then what should you be saying? And these are words that carry life. When you affirm someone, it gives them the confidence they need. It makes them feel loved. It makes them feel like, you know what, I can do it. I think of Popeye and Oliver. I know you remember that cartoon, but it's like Olive Oyl giving Popeye a bowl of spinach, because your words now act as nutrients. Your words give him the strength he needs to go out now into the world and fight for his family, to provide for his family. So you have to affirm him. There's a proverb that says that pleasant words are sweet to the soul. You know, they're good for you. They're good for your husband. They're good for your overall marriage. So affirm him with sweet words.
Now, who can't appreciate a little sweet affirmation, right? The next letter I feel will raise a few eyebrows as well. Tell us about the R and respecting his authority.
Okay, hope you're ready for this one. You have to learn to respect his authority. Whew, okay, so there's a king and there's a queen. There's two different roles that have to be played in order to make this marriage work. That's how it was designed. In any kingdom, there's a hierarchy of order. And I truly believe that it's his God-given right to be the king or the head of your household. When I think of respecting his authority, that's where I'm about to cuss. Can you be like, okay, that's where submission comes in. I cuss. I'm sorry. I cuss. That's cussing. Submission is truly understanding how to respect and allow him to rule in your house, making decisions. Doesn't mean you can't help with the decisions, but truly knowing that God has placed him head over you. So he's responsible for a lot of things, and he's going to have to make a lot of decisions that you may not understand, but you have to trust that the man that you said I do to is going to do the best for you and his family. He's not doing anything to hurt you.
Now, the last A is something I think most men watching the show can get behind, literally and figuratively. What does the last A represent?
Okay, so if all of my other principles are, say, precious gems or stones, right? I believe that this last A, this final A, is the most seductive one. Arouse his sexual pleasures often. Sex, and more sex. Well, I like to look at sex as water. I mean, we got to keep our men hydrated, ladies. Come on. I don't know what happens once we have the wedding and we get married and we get into the brunt of life, but I'm guilty. Truly understanding how to prioritize that and letting him know that, you know what, I'm going to hydrate you, keep you replenished, keep you rejuvenated by making love to you, by truly giving you the things you need. So he, again, can feel like the man that he needs to be and go out and do what he's supposed to do for you.
Now, I said we were going to talk about this as well, right? So when you mentioned the whole taming your tongue thing, I couldn't help but think there's some women out there watching right now that are going to have a problem with that. Has that been the case as far as when you go out there and you talk to different women? Have you found that some of them are adverse to the idea? If so, why is that?
Absolutely. Well, normally when I break down the principles of the Tiara, as soon as I start with T, it stops. Like I said, most women give me that look as if it's a guilty conscience look, like as if I know I've been speaking to my man like I'm crazy, because communication is key. And I can't say that enough. You have to now over communicate in your relationships in order to get the results that you're looking for. I believe that it's not always well received, because if I'm used to being this independent woman who can speak the way I want to speak and do those things, you know, because I'm by myself, then once I become one with someone and realize that I have to change, yeah, I mean, there's going to be some adverse, you know, actions there. There's going to be some maybe resistance there. But there's so much power in taming your tongue. Again, I'm not telling you not to communicate. I'm not telling you that you should not speak to your husband or share how you feel. But it's all in how you do it.
Another issue that I can see women having a problem with is this whole idea of respecting a man's authority. With all the successful, independent, the women, independent out there, do you think the idea of submission is one that some women will have an issue with? And why do you think that is?
Well, I think, again, it's not knowing what submission means. I know I had a conversation with someone who was raised during the 50s and in the 40s and things of that nature. So submission then and what it was actually, what she experienced is totally different than what I believe God designed it to do. He brought together two powerful beings, not just one. And truly, again, the person that you said I do to, there has to be some level of trust. And submission is just truly yielding. You know, when you yield, think of yielding, you're planting seeds. And so eventually you're going to reap a harvest. Maybe that's a harvest of peace, a harvest of prosperity, a harvest of understanding, of compassion, whatever it is. But that's because you've let go.
I read somewhere that money is one of the top 2 reasons for divorce. Do you think that's the case? And what can people do to avoid that pitfall?
You know, money, come on now, who doesn't love the dollar bill? And when it comes to getting with someone, you know, joining your life with somebody, there's 2 mindsets when it comes to money. The mindset can be, you know, one that splurges or one that saves or some, you know, there's 2 different mindsets when it comes. And for me, I had a relationship with money before I met my husband. Now, my relationship wasn't the best. You know, I done lied on my money. I cheated on my money. You know, I misused my money. I abused my money. So that relationship is now coming with my husband, who has a healthier perspective of how he spends the dollar bill. So I think what happens is there's a lot of headbutting that, you know, goes on in relationships. And because of that, that becomes the number one, because you can't do anything without money. I'm sorry. A lot of people say money isn't everything, but I'm sorry, if that wasn't the case, then a lot of us wouldn't be going through the situations that we are. So when it comes to finances, I think you have to develop communication. Again, we said communication is key, but truly knowing what it is that you want. What are your financial goals?
Infidelity is another one of the top 2 reasons why people get divorced. Do you think that a couple can really come back from that? And what do you think it would take for something like that to happen?
I do. I feel that anything is possible when it comes to relationships. And I believe that infidelity is not the worst thing that can happen in your marriage. What happens is both parties have to come together and say, this is what I want. If the marriage is worth saving, then save it. Forgiveness is definitely in order, but then that's a process. You know, forgiveness then helps to rebuild your trust and things of that nature. So you have to start putting forth the actions that say, I want this. Not just from the person who actually caused the infraction or the hiccup in the marriage, but the other person. Everybody has to work together now because there's a partnership. Everybody plays a part. So I do believe, even though infidelity is the second or first, you know, within the first 2 reasons why people divorce, I feel that you can rebound from it. It just takes time. It's a process, and reinstilling and rebuilding that trust that was once there is going to take time. A lot of times we just want it to happen overnight, and it's not going to happen overnight. It takes work, but that's the work that you're willing to do in order to save what you have.
What do you have coming up next, and where can people find out more about you?
Oh, well, you know what? I am so excited because this summer I launched my Lifestyle newsletter. The Lifestyle newsletter is an absolutely amazing resource for any woman who's single, married, who want to get inspiration to create the relationship that they want. So you got to get the inspiration you need to create the relationship that you want. Also, I've started my wife coaching sessions, both personal and coaching, group coaching, where I'm showing women, again, how to reign as queen of their castle, showing women how there's a difference between being a married woman and being a wife, a wonderful, wonderful group coaching session to look into, but also showing women as they're single, preparing for their Prince Charming, what they need to do. Cinderella preparing for the ball. So I'm super excited. For those of you all who are interested, I'm telling you, it is a must. You got to sign up for my newsletter. Visit my website, LakiaBrandenburg.com, and make sure you also sign up for my next group coaching or even personal coaching session so that you can be the wife that reigns as queen of her castle.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lakia Brandenburg, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Nick. Appreciate you.
All right, don't go anywhere. We still have so much more coming up with The Nic Nice Show after this.
The Nic Nice Show, sponsored by Audi of America. Truth in engineering.
Want to see your future?
You're me, right? I obviously haven't slowed down at all. What do you think?
The key is to stay hungry.
By the way, our wife's in there. Seriously?
The Audi A8. Ambition never rests.
The Nice 3, number 1.
So earlier in the monologue, I talked about Robin Williams and depression, and for tonight's Said Nicely, I want to go a little deeper. In the wake of Robin Williams' death, the topic of depression has come up, and to me, that's a good thing. Even in 2014, people still don't truly understand depression, and many people have attached a stigma to it. And I must admit, I was one of those people until I got educated. You see, how we feel and think happens in the brain, regulated by chemicals and nerves. For people who are, usually feel normal, they have a natural chemical flow. But for those that suffer from depression and various other mental illnesses, they don't, and they have to figure out a way to get a better balance. And sometimes that can include exercise, therapy, and medication. But far too often, because of the fear of being stigmatized, people turn to self-medicating with illicit drugs and alcohol, which is far more acceptable than suffering from depression in the first place.
You know the difference between a tornado and divorce in the South? Nothing. Someone's losing the trailer, number one.
Normally in times like these, I like to celebrate the life of those that we've lost. And since Robin Williams spent most of his life bringing joy into ours, I think that's a task that we can handle, if not enjoy. But another thing I like to do, though, in moments like these is see what can we learn or do to help someone else moving forward. In this case, we do Robin Williams' memory justice by letting others know there's no shame from suffering from depression. We let them know that the best thing that they can do is reach out to someone, seek help, anyone. You don't have to deal with depression alone. And if you're watching this and you're having thoughts or have had thoughts about taking your own life, call someone now. Some of you may feel like you don't have anyone to call, or you don't want to call people that you know because you don't want them all in your business. And I feel you, but there's still someone that you can call. Call the number listed below and someone will be there for you 24/7. There is hope, and even a spark of it can go a long way. And if we all want to do something to honor the memory of Robin Williams, then maybe we can all find ways to bring a little bit more joy to others. Say hi to someone, pay someone a compliment, call someone and tell them that you love them. I mean, if you really enjoyed Robin Williams, that's the least that we can do. And to me, that's said nicely. I want to thank my guest, Lakia Brandenburg, for joining us on yet another amazing episode of the Nic Nice Show. Unfortunately, it's a little bit more somber than we usually expected, but hopefully we can take a little bit more upbeat take for the next episode. I'm so honored to be your host, Nic Nice. Again, bring a little bit more joy into this world, and you can do that by telling someone else about the Nic Nice Show. tell a friend, have them watch the show as well. You never know, it might save a life. Again, I'm your host, Nic Nice. This is the Nic Nice Show. We'll see you next time. But until then, be easy, but most importantly, be nice with it. I'm out.